If you're looking to replay Grand Theft Auto Vice City or play it for the very first time, and you're wondering what the best way to play the game on PC is, then you've come to the right place. On this channel, I help you get older games looking and playing their best by guiding you through the noise and getting to what matters. And what matters is what versions, mods, settings and emulators should you be utilizing to get the most definitive experience. A little disclaimer before we start, this video is not a comprehensive comparison of all the versions that are playable on PC, but rather a concise yet detailed highlight on how you can refresh this title and get the best possible experience on modern hardware. What we'll be covering in this video is the PS2 release of GTA Vice City running on the PCSX2 Emulator, the original PC version of the game, and the definitive edition. All of these have different purposes depending on your preferences, so we'll go into each version and why you should or should not choose them. With all that out the way, together, let's find out what is the best way to play GTA Vice City. The first way you can play this game is one of the simplest, as it doesn't require much tinkering at all, and that's the original PS2 version of the game running on the PCSX2 Emulator. Everything I mention, be it mods or emulators, will be linked down in the description, so head down there, grab the PCSX2 Emulator, and then all you need is a legal copy of the game. I have a guide on getting this emulator set up on my channel, so if it's your first time using it and need some advice, you can head over there now. This specific version of the game is very nostalgic and is a pure way of experiencing it. There are a few versions of the PS2 release that you should look out for. The original 1.40 version is the most pure way of playing the game, as it is literally the first release. But it does come with 3 bugs, one of which can corrupt your save game. The 2.01 version's major change was that it fixes these bugs, but removes the song Running in the Night from the Flash FM radio station. It also changed the look and the names of some weapons due to licensing issues. For example, the Colt 45 was renamed to just Pistol. Then the 3.0 version removed even more, with tear gas being removed, and also some dialogue was changed due to some controversy. Out of these versions here, if it's possible for you to find the original 1.40 or 2.01, either of those are great. If you don't care about the changes from 1.40 to 2.01, then 2.01 is the better version, as it fixes those game-breaking bugs. Now that you know what versions are the best, then we can get back to appreciating the looks of the original version of the game. Booting the game up for the first time, you'll have something that looks like this, so you need to make a few changes. Up in the top, you'll see that there are game properties. These are properties that will only change for this specific game. You should enable widescreen and the 60 FPS patch. Then you'll go into the regular PCSX2 settings and change your internal resolution. I'm choosing 4x native, which is 1440p, but you choose what you want or what your PC can handle. Lastly, set anisotropic filtering to 16 times. That covers pretty much everything I would change about this version, and at this point you'll have a GTA Vice City that looks and runs pretty great. Some side notes here are the blurriness or the ghosting that you can see here can actually be switched off in the settings. The setting is called Trails. This makes the game look a lot flatter and neutral, but it gets rid of the haziness. This is completely up to you, as it's entirely subjective, so just choose off or on depending on which one you like the look of. Another thing worth noting is that in this exact same menu there'll be a widescreen option. Please make sure that this is on. Now let's move away from emulators and try the original PC port of the game. This port is absolutely broken, but with mods becomes easily the most definitive and best way to play. Off the rip, the default PC port has super weird feeling controls, and it also doesn't have the ability to turn on trails, so you're forced with this more neutral look. The other annoying thing about this version is the availability. Since Rockstar delisted the game off Steam, the only legal way to get your hands on it is through the Rockstar launcher, and the prices here are pretty crazy. This is still one of the cheapest ways, as getting a Steam key for the game nowadays sets you back quite a bit. If you have the money though, then I guess the cheapest option to get it is through the Rockstar launcher. The elephant in the room is obviously getting a copy through piracy means, but you will have to go down that path on your own, as I can't provide any information or links there. Once you get your hands on a copy of the game for PC though, modding it could not be simpler, and there are 2 ones out there that I would recommend. The first is ReViced. This is by far one of the best remasters out there as of recording this video. It's one of those remasters that does not interfere with the original PS2 game's vision. That means there are mods here that add features back to this PC version, like the Vice City colors, but they do it in a better way. You see, the mod here is Sharp Trails, and what this does is bring the warm colours, but removes the blurriness and ghosting that you get in the PS2 version. I personally much prefer this look. More details this mod adds are manually placed props and details throughout the whole world, better quality weapon models which restore the original names as well that we mentioned earlier, and also the UI and loading screens are manually upscaled. You can read every change in the big Google Doc that I link below. There you'll also find the link to the download as well. The install for this could not be easier either, as all you need to do is drag all the files into your existing GTA Vice City install and then boot up the game. I can't really say what I originally wanted to say in this bit of the video, but if you read the download and use section of the Google Doc, you'll realise that the installation guide makes it clear the download doesn't just contain the mod files, so do whatever with that information. This ReViced mod does have a few subjective changes like in the vehicles, so if you want something that just fixes bugs and restores all the features from all the best versions of this game, then the improved classic Modpack by Granalan is the good second option. This again is a quick install, and a simple drag and drop into your game files is all you need to get the mod installed. This one is similar to ReViced in its looks and gameplay, and honestly you really can't go wrong with either of these. They both give you that feeling of having a PC remastered version of the game, arguably a more definitive experience than the one that Rockstar Games gave us. Which, speaking of, we have to talk about a tiny bit. See, in my GTA San Andreas video, I actually saw quite a lot of people touting it as a great way to play the game, which was surprising to me. So I gave the Vice City Definitive Edition more of a shot this time to see if I could recommend it, and to be honest, it wasn't terrible. This was my first time playing this version of the game, and the updates that they have been doing to it since release have clearly done something. I don't think I'll ever be able to see this art style that they went for anything but ugly, and I still really do not like how the characters look. Besides Tommy Vercetti, he actually looks quite decent here. But overall, my first impressions were not as bad as my previous ones of this version. The classic lighting setting is a must, as it brings the Vice City colours back to the game. And with patches fixing things like bugs that were plaguing the launch of the game, the only real downside to this version is that you're going to be missing some songs. But still, missing some songs from the original game kinda makes the Definitive Edition tag that this game has questionable, as it doesn't contain everything that the original has. Besides that though, the biggest plus to this version is by far the modern controls and GTA 5 style mechanics. Things like shooting, driving and flying feel a whole lot better in this version. I think the modernised gameplay and updated visuals does make it more accessible to a lot of people. And I do know a lot of people that can't put up with older graphics when they come to play these games. However, this series is not about that. This is about finding the absolute best ways to play an old classic, and this version just strays too far away from that original game that I cannot recommend it. I still wanted to include it however, so that you know it is not a terrible option. And I think that if you're someone that has played the game a bunch of times and you want to revisit it, then this will be a refreshing and interesting way to replay it. And that brings us to the final verdict of the video. These three ways of playing GTA Vice City are arguably the best, but we must crown one of them the winner. And like my previous video in this series, it does of course come down to many factors. Firstly, if you are somewhat of a purist and want the closest to the original experience you can get on PC, then you cannot go wrong with emulating it on the PS2 emulator. Over the years, this emulator has come closer and closer to looking just as the original hardware does. And the benefit of being able to choose if you want to crank it up to 4K internal resolution, run it in widescreen, and so much more is really great. If however you are someone that wants a more modernized experience that is easy to set up, collects the best version of every game into one definitive package, then you need to go with the original PC port, but with mods. If you're playing Vice City for the first time, then I think ReViced is a great choice and will give you an amazing first impression and experience throughout. But also the improved classic mod that we mentioned is also great, so just choose either of those and you're gonna have a great time. It might become a running joke on this series that we continuously pick the PC port with mods, but ultimately this series is about bringing those classic games into the modern era and enhancing them enough that they do not just become playable on modern hardware, but fix a lot of the bugs that are inherent in these ports and breathe new life into them. And PC with mods tends to do that a lot of the time. It's also important to me that I hear from you, so if you disagree or agree with anything in this video, or would like to add some feedback to the series, then I would love to hear it. I want this series to be the ultimate place to go if you want to find how to play any retro game best on PC. And I also want to say that if you are enjoying the content, then maybe consider subscribing. And if you want to go that extra mile and support me further in making these types of videos, then maybe become a member here on YouTube, or my Patreon, which you will find links in the description. You'll get early access to my videos alongside some behind the scenes stuff and also a shout out at the end of every video. If you want to find out the best way to play other GTA games in the series like San Andreas, then check out my video on that. Or check out the video on the right where I explore graphic mods that remaster older games. See you there.